Hey everyone, Swanton007 here to do to finish off my 1999 pay-per-view reviews. So I'll get straight into it. Survivor Series 1999 started with a Survivor Series match between the Godfather D'Lo Brown and the Headbangers versus the Dudley Boyz and the Acolytes. It was a terrible opener, boring match. The Godfather and D'Lo survived to win for their team. I gave this match 3/4 stars. Next match, Kurt Angle versus Shawn Stasiak. This was both of their pay-per-view debuts. Angle. This was Angle's very first match, and he was really green in it. It was a different style of wrestling. There was a lot of boring chants in the crowd that would have eaten away an Angle really bad. And Angle debuted the Angle Slam at this pay-per-view. The next match, Survivor Series match between Venis, Mark Henry, Gangrel, and Steve Blackman versus the British Bulldog and the Mean Street Posse. This was better than the first elimination match, but not by much. Val and Mark survived to win for their team. 2.5 stars. The next match, Mae Young, Fabulous Moolah, Tori and Debra versus Ivory, Luna, Vacon, Jacqueline and Terri Runnels. This was an elimination match, which was good, but why wasn't the women's title on the line? Oh well, Tori's team wins anyway. That was a dud match. Kane versus X-Pac. This was not a good match. This match, not a good match. That was short, stupid, and had a stupid ending. It was not needed on the card, but it plays out a rivalry that goes on to WrestleMania. 1.5 stars. Handicap Survivor Series match, which was the Big Show versus the Big Boss Man, Prince Albert, Mideon, and Viscera. This was a dud. This was just the Big Show destroying everyone, apart from the Boss Man, and that's because the Boss Man ran away. Dud match. Next match, an Intercontinental Championship match between Chyna and Chris Jericho. Now this was actually a good match. Surprisingly, it was a good match. Chyna won with the pedigree from a second rope, which was Which was CM Punk's indie Pepsi plunge, I think. 2.5 star match. Very interesting, good match, and it turns into a good rivalry. Next match, Survivor Series match between Too Cool and the Hollies versus Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys. It was a good Survivor Series match, but could have been better with more time. Hardcore Holly is the last man standing and wins it for his team. 3 stars. Next match, a WWF Tag Team Championship match between the New Age Outlaws versus Al Snow and Mankind. It was an okay match, and no New Age Outlaws retain. 2 stars. Next match, triple threat match for the WWF Intercontinental for the WWF Championship. It's Big Show versus Triple H versus The Rock. Steve Austin was originally supposed to be in this, but he got injured early in the match by earlier in the pay-per-view by Vince McMahon. The match was overbooked as per usual, but the swerve at the end was really interesting. The Big Show does the Shawn. Big Show wins, and it does the Shawn celebration, essentially dedicating his win to his just buried father, which was a really good way to pay off the storyline for the marks and giving the big guy credibility that he's been sorely lacking. 3.5 stars. Overall, I gave the pay-per-view a 6.5. It's a fairly good pay-per-view with some good matches here and there, but mainly it was the stories that were told. But the 3 matches, there were 3 matches that really brought that up, which was Chyna Jericho, the Survivor Series match with Too Cool, the Hollies, Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys, and the main event, which was the match of the night was Chyna Jericho though. Next pay-per-view, Armageddon 1999. It started with a tag team battle royal between the Godfather and Mark Henry, the Headbangers, Edge and Christian, the Hardy Boys, the Dudley Boys, the Main Street Posse, Too Much, and the Acolytes. The Hardy Boys and the Acolytes are the last two teams surviving. Matt and Bradshaw tease getting eliminated, but it's Jeff who gets launched over the top rope for an APA win. The crowd goes nuts for the Hardys, which is what made the result more puzzling. 1.5 star match. Kurt Angle versus Steve Blackman. Angle won with the German suplex. Angle quickly dropped a lot of his repertoire that didn't work and became much more of a complete wrestler. So he dropped a lot of the mat wrestling, and he started to use a lot more offensive moves. 1 star. Next match is a 4 corners evening gown pool match for the WWF Championship. This was actually very good to look at. It was so stupid, but it was so good to look at. I believe Miss Kitty won, but it was a dud in the end. All these days I've been giving women's matches a duds. Next match, the Hollies versus Rikishi and Viscera. This was Rikishi's very first pay-per-view match, but disappointingly it was very boring. But at the end, Viscera turns on Rikishi and they brawl after the match. Next match was a triple threat for the European Championship. It's between Val Venis, the British Bulldog, and D'Lo Brown. The Iridium Bomb steps up for D'Lo. The Iridium Bomb sets up the lowdown, but Val comes off the top rope for a money shot for the win. By this point in time, the European title was pretty much meaningless, and it really should have been disabandoned. But it did sort of come to a little bit. It sort of did get bumped up a little bit when Eddie started going for it, and Chris Jericho and all those, and what's his name? Chris Benoit. That match I gave a 3/4 star. Next match, Kane versus X-Pac in a steel cage. Kane wins by tossing him into the steel cage, and then hitting the flying clothesline off the top of the cage, which was really awesome. He then sets up the tombstone, and the Kane wins. X-Pac has the last laugh though because DX attack afterwards. 2-star match. Next match is an Intercontinental Championship match between Chris Jericho and Chyna. Chyna sets up for the Sunslip Flip, but Jericho rolls through for the walls of Jericho. Chyna holds out for a while, but has to tap. It was a big win for Jericho, and people were practically frothing at the mouth to cheer for this guy. Jericho was really getting over the crowd at this time. 2.5 star match. Next match was a Tag Team Champion match. It was between the Rock and Sock Connection versus the New Age Outlaws. Billy takes the Rock bottom, but then Al Snow returns and attacks the Rock and Sock Connection for a DQ. This was supposed to set up a feud between Rock and Al Snow to give the Rock something to do, and to give Al Snow and to give the rub to Al. But a number of things wound up derailing this situation. 2-star match. The second main event of the night is a WWF Championship match between the Big Show and Bossman. There was nothing much really in mind for these guys. They built it up all night, hyping this match, and Big Show pretty much chokeslammed him and won. Dud match. Main event of the night, no holds barred match between Triple H and Vince. Triple H uses a sledgehammer and nails Vince with it for the win. Stephanie checks on her dad, so Hunter teases smashing her brains in before embracing her. It was a clever ruse, and the match was an okay brawl. This was a typical ending for the time. Overall, Armageddon, I am going to give a 4.5 out of 10. A disappointing pay-per-view, but with a good ending. And match of the night was Triple H Vince. So I was Swanton 007. Comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you.